Hey Vegas, thanks for joining us back here on Realty Check, your local Las Vegas real estate news show. And we are here this week. Before I get started about this week and introductions and everything, reminder, next week is Thanksgiving. And if you watched part 1 of our coaching session with Sharon Swanton about negative self-talk a few weeks ago, next week we're going to have part 2 airing. We will not be here physically, but you guys will watch the recording.
We're definitely going to be here in spirit.
We will be here in spirit. So make sure you guys tune in next week. We will still be here even though it's a holiday. And I am happy to be here with you guys, Tiana and Jason. And go ahead and tell us about yourself real quick. And
about myself? Well, in case you didn't know, I'm
Yeah.
Tiana. You're on Vegas Realty Check. Tiana Carroll, a co-host, Trish Williams. She didn't say her name, so
Yeah, that's me.
there you go.
So.
We're a Las Vegas News real estate show, and today we have an amazing guest who is going to talk to us all about real estate and short-term rentals. Jason Griggs from Griggs team over at Simply Vegas,
Simply
right?
Vegas, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you. And Jason, wow, you are doing some big stuff with like the short-term rentals, managing properties. You're making big changes out there, so we're really excited to hear.
I can't wait to get into it. But first, we got to do our numbers.
Things that you're talking about, and yes, we're going to get into our numbers first. So over the last week, our inventory for single-family residences on the market is $74.95.
Yeah.
So still hovering around that 8,000.
Yeah, a little bit lower.
Yeah. A little bit lower. It seems like there's less new listings hitting the market lately. Seasonality, I'm sure.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. And less price reductions, right? Because this week we have 1,253 price reductions, so it's less than we've had in the past 6 weeks.
Yeah, about 500 less. It's a big difference. But people are starting to realize the market that we're in right now.
Yeah, I think that it's not only been preached here, but it's on news everywhere on how the market has changed. And it really did come to a halt when they started raising those interest rates. Now the interest rates are starting to dip down a little bit, and people are, a little more apt to be out there. I'm seeing an uptick, right? Are you guys seeing that in the business?
Slight,
yeah, a little bit.
Nothing to get excited about.
Are you kidding? I'm super excited. I'm like,
I'm
uptick,
excited
let's
too,
do it.
yeah.
It's early.
Yeah, I'm like, it's a little bit more, but it's still, we're still where we are. So in the news this week, there is kind of real estate news. Tiny home community was approved for low-income seniors. We have definitely a housing need for low-income seniors.
We absolutely
here
do.
in Las Vegas. So that was approved this week, which is great. Good things are coming there. And then again, all the news is talking about the shift. One thing that I found really interesting, I was in another city. You're in Vegas, so you always hear just Vegas news, right? So I'm in another city last week, and I'm watching their local news, and they're talking about housing shortage, inventory shortage, and I'm like, there's no inventory shortage. What is this? And then I start looking in articles, and like nationwide, they're still talking about a shortage of inventory. We're not seeing that here at all.
Yeah, it depends what area you're in, but every market's different. Right? Every market, so you can't compare Vegas market to a Midwest city.
Yeah.
But this market's been, I think it's healthy what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Because you have buyers that were so priced out the past 2 years. They couldn't go buy a house. It was so expensive. They had to pay over asking price. And now they have options. Yes, the interest rates are up a little bit, but at least they could go and look at some houses.
Right. And we were talking about this before the show. A house that you bought last year at a lower rate, at $100,000 higher, is going to cost you the same monthly payment this year with the rates difference, and the prices have come down. So there's a good balance there. Las Vegas is first in line of the shift effects. So they're saying actually we're number 2 across the country of filling this housing shift. 6.3 is the decline in prices that they're reporting for Fortune is reporting 6.3 decline. I think it's a little bit more than that. I looked at that number and thought it was underestimated. And we're second fastest cooling in the U.S. Seattle's following us, but we were the like first or second in appreciation as well.
Right.
So
Right.
this is balancing. It's more balanced.
Yeah, I mean, we were the hottest real estate market in the country for,
Well, right.
for a while.
We
so.
tend to be on the front run of everything, right? Because we grow, we're this big metropolitan, well, we're busting into being a big metropolitan city
Yeah, I
in
agree with that.
comparison to where we were. And there's other places, Pacific Northwest, Florida, things like Boise, Idaho. They all saw great increases, but they're having more of a decline in their market than we are. And, you know, also in stock, which our stock has come up and our prices have come down a bit, but they're leveling out. It's not like we're seeing a big crash or a
No,
dip.
I think they're becoming, the word I use is realistic. It's becoming
Yeah.
a lot more realistic, which is great. It's
Yeah,
great
we
for our
like the word
clients.
correction.
Okay.
It all works, right?
Yeah.
So Jason, you were talking a little bit before the show about, you know, we're going to see a lot more creative financing. I agree with
Yeah.
you 100% on that. So what's your input about that?
I love creative financing. I'm a big investor, so I buy a lot of rental properties. And so for people who don't know what it is, it's basically, it's another alternative to buy a house. And so for people who have their houses paid off and they go to put it on the market, they're not getting the number they want, they could finance it to somebody like a first-time home buyer, and they essentially become the bank.
Owner will carry.
Owner will carry, yep.
Yeah. Beware, buyer and seller. You're doing stuff like this, creative financing. Do it legally. Go through a title company.
Yes.
Get your documents prepared or looked at by an attorney. Don't try to DIY this. You're not selling a car. We're talking 30 years.
And it is legal, right?
Yeah.
It is legal. It's a legal thing.
Yeah.
It's very popular. It was very popular actually years ago, and now it's coming back. But it's just good for buyers because if they go to get an interest rate of 8%, they may be able to get into houses at a 4 or 5%. So that's where the creative finance comes in. You could work out the deal the way that helps you.
I do an owner will carry at 4 or 5% all day.
I do them all the
return.
time. And
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I just bought one in Mississippi where I paid the seller $50,000 over the asking price of the house, but he gave me an interest rate of 3%. So it's a win-win.
It is.
My monthly rate is lower, and he's going to get more money over time.
Right. And a few years ago, I had a client that was just in a predicament because of a bankruptcy or whatever, and had a very a house that was a lot higher in price than what he wanted to buy. So he sold that house, kind of cashed out, couldn't really get into a mortgage right away. Found someone. We found someone that was doing an owner will carry on a short term, 2 years. So it was like within 2 years,
Yeah.
and that's all the time that he needed.
Right.
It was 5% interest rate, 2 years. He had this payment, interest only payment for 2 years, and then after that, he had to take over, make the whole payment in full. He did it. It worked out. So there's solutions.
That's what this business is, right?
Right?
It's solving problems, and that's our job as the real estate professional, to help our clients and also help ourselves get into these amazing deals.
Yep.
Yeah, that's when people always ask me how the market is. The market's always great for me. I'm always finding solutions. It
Right.
just depends upon if you're a buyer or seller and what market we're in.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, and people, if they will give us the time of day enough to talk about it and go through the different options, we can find something that works.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's usually like fear-based, right? The people who don't want to face it and they're afraid of it or they don't understand it, they're the ones avoiding it, and they don't realize how much help we can be, especially helping them build that wealth, which you have
Yeah.
a nice little portfolio of wealth there, Mr. I own all the
Yeah, I
rentals.
do.
Yeah,
I
so
got.
let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it. Yeah, so I started buying rental properties right away within my first few months in the business.
Really?
Yeah.
You just seen other people making money and you said, why am I not?
You know what? That wasn't really it, because I'm from New York.
Okay.
And so New York real estate is crazy expensive.
Yes.
And
Nuts.
so my friends and family, they were like, you can buy a property in Vegas and Henderson, and the taxes are so cheap, so you're going to be able to cash flow. And so I was like, okay, so if you bought a house for $250 and your mortgage is $1,000, I could rent it for $2,000. That's a deal for me. And
Yeah.
so I did one, and then it just snowballed into this huge business that I have.
Yeah. So on acquiring rentals, that
Mm-hmm.
is so many people just see that as I don't know, sometimes impossible, and when you
Like
explain
it's out of
how
reach,
how
and it's
easy
not.
it is,
It's so easy.
very easy. So let's talk
Yeah.
about that.
So it's just like ripping the Band-Aid off and just getting in the pool. Like once you do it once, it's like so it's one of the easiest businesses in my opinion.
Yeah.
I manage all my rentals myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you have 33
Yeah,
rentals.
I'm involved in 33 rentals.
You're
yeah.
managing 33 rentals
Yeah.
yourself.
That's a full-time job.
It
How do you
is,
do
yeah.
real estate?
Are they
Yeah.
all in Vegas or
No,
are they
they're
across
not.
the country?
They're all across the country.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Wow, that's insane.
So I have partners with them, and,
Okay,
and
good.
I partner with for my short-term rentals, which we'll get into. But it's just experience-based. Once you get into it once and you manage it, and you realize it's really not that bad. Everyone thinks that your tenants are going to call you every single day for a problem.
They usually don't want to call you at all
Right,
because
and
they're
so-
scared you're going to raise the rent if they call you.
That's like
They're playing out of sight, out of mind. Don't
Yeah.
look at me.
that's like a big misconception that it's so much work. It's actually really not that much work.
Yeah. And usually I found too in having places, other areas, the first thing I do is try to find a good person I can rely on as a contact. You know,
Yes.
handyman, does everything.
Yep.
It's like, this is going to be my favorite person. I'm saving their number in my phone. As long as you have that reliable person, everything else is going to work itself out.
You nailed it. That's exactly what you need in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I just kind of threw myself into the pool and was like, I'm just going to buy one. I'm going to do it myself.
Figure it
it
out.
out. And that's what this business is. You got to figure it out. And too many people are just a little nervous or just uneducated of what to do.
Mm-hmm.
But my suggestion is always just dive in. And
That was my conversation
You got to swim
yesterday.
once you dive in.
So on financing, buying rentals financing, this is one of the things that it just drives me crazy every time I hear it because people are like, I don't want to put 20% down. So we're 20% down, $300,000 house. That's $60,000, right? You have $60,000 sitting in your bank account. It's making you nothing.
Nothing,
You're
right.
making no money on that.
Right.
You put that $60,000 into a rental and you're going to cash flow every month on it. Like that.
And
It's
appreciation.
understand and appreciation on top of that.
Yeah.
It's getting people to understand that it's that simple.
It's that simple.
It's that simple.
We'll use my example. My first one I bought for $250,000.
Okay.
It's worth $700,000, right? So
Exactly.
In 7 years, and now I pretty much have that property 75% paid off.
Right.
So in just 7 years of not doing that much work, I don't know where else you could.
No.
I put down my $60,000 down
Right.
payment, and if I sold it, I would get a check for around $600,000.
If you had that
amazing.
$70,000 in the bank, you said 7 years?
I've had it for 7.5
Okay,
years.
7.5 years, $70,000 in the bank. How much would you have made on interest in 7 years?
Yeah. Nothing.
A dollar.
Maybe
Yeah,
$500.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe $500.
Yeah.
Like that. It's that simple. And yeah, some people don't have that kind of cash. Get it. I mean, get it, work on it,
But here's
save,
the
you
thing.
can do it.
More people have that cash than you think, especially because it's sitting in their home.
Right.
Yesterday, I talked to a lady. She had her house for 25 years, and she was cranky that I called her. She's like, I've lived here 25 years. I'm never moving. I was like, I'm not asking you to move. I'm asking you to take the equity that you have, roll it into a rental property, and let's start building your portfolio. Let's get you
Yep.
some wealth.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it was her fear. She didn't know where to start, so she wasn't going to look it in the face. So now it's like, okay, let's sit down and talk about what it would really look like to grab like a HELOC, pull some of that money out, put it in a rental, get a renter in place, and what those numbers will do for you over the next 5 years.
Right.
Dave Ramsey had a post the other day and said some of the wealthiest Americans are teachers. Maybe it was
I'm
hospitality
going to say most
workers.
teachers are going to disagree with you.
Yeah, no, hospitality workers. No, it wasn't because of their salary. It was because of the investments that they made.
Yeah.
And
Well, they
again,
have to.
yeah, they have to. It's so many people that are just average, everyday people making average, everyday salaries can build so much wealth by owning real estate.
Yep.
Well, that's where most people start when they build their wealth, is in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like a high yield interest account or
Crypto.
No, right.
Let's not talk about crypto.
No, but like real
Crypto
estate.
is so sad right now.
I'm not a big crypto guy, but real estate
neither.
is like a slow and steady wins the race
Right.
type business.
Yeah.
Now when I first started, I kind of got lucky, right? Because it took off at an amazing time. So I
7
bought all
years
these-
ago, yeah.
Right, so I bought all these properties 7 years ago, 6 years ago.
2015.
And I mean, they tripled. And
Yeah.
so I kind of got lucky at getting it at the right time. That always doesn't happen.
Right.
But if you buy a few properties every year and 10 years from now, you look back and you're like, wow, that was a good idea because real estate generally appreciates over the long period of time.
I had a client one time bought his first rental, and he was only cash flowing $150 a month. And at the time, he bought the home at a very good price. It was like 2016, 2017. And I said, over time, you're going to build appreciation,
Yep.
and this rent's going to go up as
Correct.
well. You'll be able to raise it. And this doesn't look like a pretty number right now. You know, it doesn't look like a great number, but it's the long game.
That's right.
You're cash flowing every month. That's important. It's the long game. And what happened was exactly what I said. You know, we ended up selling that home. He sold it. He ended up buying a fourplex after that because it was such a great investment. So he had the home had appreciated. Rent had gone up. His cash flow was a lot more, so it turned into a really good investment.
That's great. That's a great example, and I just feel, you know, as real estate professionals, we can really help our clients with this, and that's kind of what I've been doing. Just instructing people that have those blue-collar jobs that can't go do real estate on the side, so they rely on us to
And they don't
find
have
them the
trust
deals.
funds
Right.
and all this, you know, magic money that's just going to appear out of everywhere. But it's the long game. You can make it happen.
Yes.
Yes. And 401k is also, you know, they will allow you to pull
Draw,
out a
yeah.
certain amount for an investment property with, you know, just.
I'm a big rental guy, so I think rentals trump all those 401ks, everything, because the cash flow on top of the appreciation just crushes those items.
Absolutely. So short-term rentals.
All right.
Those can be cash cows as well,
Yes,
right?
they can.
Let's talk about that.
All right, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So I got into the business about 2.5 years ago, and I saw it. Once somebody shows me something and it works, I'm like, I just go all in. So I bought 8 of them very quickly, and then I
Wow.
expanded them to other parts of the country. But they're just rental properties on steroids, and that analogy just is they produce a lot of money, a lot of cash flow. So if your average rent price for the month is $2,000, it could bring in $4,000 to $6,000
Right.
because
Yeah.
you're renting for shorter amounts of time, but it's more expensive.
Yeah. I mean, there's other things that you have to keep in mind when managing a short-term rental cleaning service. You know,
Yep.
you have to have
That's
someone that
important.
goes.
It's a big business. It's not easy.
Yes.
It's way harder than running a long-term rental. There's a lot more that goes into it.
Yeah.
It's running a little hotel.
Yeah, basically.
But once you get the systems up and running and you figure out how to do it, it's a real winning business.
Yeah, I started getting into this. Just first time getting into it recently, and it was. When I got the checklist of everything you need, it's like, you know, all these sets of towels and I was like, wow, this
Right.
is like a hotel.
Right. You don't realize how
think
much
about
stuff
that.
you have in your own house.
Yeah.
But like you need these items for when people come to visit.
Yeah.
The turnover, right?
The
turnover,
turnover, the towels, the sheets, the blankets,
Yep.
and everything has to be good.
It's got to be
you can't
pristine,
have
yeah. Or else you're going to get a bad review, and then nobody
Yeah.
else is going to come.
Yeah.
No, Sam's Club is great like that. I think they did I think we bought a bulk amount of towels, 120 towels or something, all high quality sheets, everything. So
Yeah.
just order them online, shipped right to the unit, done.
So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's Sam's Club has been my favorite place recently. So, so with short-term rentals, how many of those do you manage?
So I own 8 of them we'll just stick with here in town. I own 8 in Henderson.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Henderson has some new rules.
Henderson's got rules.
What's
right?
going on with Henderson?
So with Henderson, they were the first in the city to create ordinances and rules and regulation with short-term rentals. So there's a lot of short-term rentals in Vegas and Henderson.
I think Henderson started off as like one of the most flexible with it, right? Because I know people were telling me in the beginning when this all like started becoming popular, they're like, oh, you know, City of Las Vegas has all these restrictions. Henderson's a lot easier to work with.
Okay, so Henderson came out with the stricter rules now. So you have to have a license on the property to list it on Airbnb. Now the big news is Clark County is coming out with their rules. The city with Las Vegas, all the homes that are near the Strip, and so there's so many that are operating illegally, and so now they just put out the law that they're going to license 2,800 of these homes.
And there is 13,000 operating
Yeah.
right now. So there is going to be a lot
A lot, yeah.
of people.
Okay, so I believe that they do that on purpose, right?
Yeah.
I think that they're waiting to get all those fines, and that's how they're going to make money. I mean, we're based in hospitality, so we don't want to disrupt that. So they're making it difficult, in my opinion, for Airbnb, and then they're making money off the backside and all the fines. Because figure 13,000 rentals, less than 3,000 are licensed, you got 10,000 to pull from.
Right.
Yeah.
So my take is this. I think short-term rentals are a good business because you're attracting more tourism. And there's times where the Strip just can't handle all these
Yeah,
people,
when
right?
we get those
so they need extra
shows
housing.
coming in town.
So what I think is going to happen is we'll see. We'll see if the operators comply with the rules. Remember when Uber first came here?
Yeah.
Yes,
Right?
and they're like, don't do that.
Right, don't do that. You can't go get an Uber.
Nope.
And then what happened? The people just overpowered it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll see if that happens.
Within a few years,
But I think
rideshare.
rules and regulations are good. You need them because I own in different cities that don't have any rules, and it's kind of like a free-for-all.
So tell me about this. I'm sure you know more about this as well. Is the rules are different if you're renting in 30 days.
Correct. Yeah,
It changes.
It depends if you're an HOA or non-HOA. If you're in an HOA and your HOA allows 30-day plus rentals, you can do them. They're
Yeah.
great, but they're not they don't produce as much income.
Yeah, yeah, and again, it's more specific. You know, you have, I'm probably sure, a lot less pool of people coming in for 30 days than you
Correct.
do for
And it's a lot
you know,
less
one
work,
or
too.
two days.
So
too.
you're only dealing with, let's just say, 8 different groups in a year, versus in a month you could deal with 6 different groups.
Right. I feel like that may be an alternative that some of these 13,000 have to go to when they start getting some pressure down on their.
I agree. I call it a pivot rental, where you're taking a property and then you're doing short-term rentals with it, and then you pivot to mid-term rentals, which is 30-day rentals, or you can go to long-term rentals. And there's people with my short-term rentals that will rent my house out for 6 months at a time.
Wow.
Which is great. And
That
it's a
is
lot less
amazing.
work, and you're getting a good price. So what I always suggest is sometimes it's not always about the money. It's about like the convenience of your time and running the property. And if you get a great person that could go in there for a longer time, I would take it.
Yeah, no, definitely. You don't have to worry. It's turnover, you know.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about managing it in between.
Yep.
There's one thing, and we talked a little bit about this earlier as well. One thing that I recently found out, which I'm I can't believe I never knew this. So in financing, you can buy a vacation home. You know, if you qualify, there's a lot of options there, but you can buy a vacation home. Sometimes as little as 10% down. There's different options there that have that. In a vacation home, second home, 50 miles from your primary residence. There's a little bit of criteria. And I had always just had the assumption if you're doing that, there's no way that you can be operating a short-term rental or business out of it. However, I recently found out that the criteria is as long as you're occupying it 14 days out of the year, it is okay to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I always say this. It's your house, right?
Yeah.
It's your house. And if every mortgage company in the world went and checked every single person of what they're doing with their vacation.
Yeah.
So I'm just like an American. Like, it's your house. If you want to make some extra money and rent it out, then go for it.
But it's actually allowed.
It
It's
is
not
allowed, yeah.
breaking the rules,
No, it's not.
which is very. I mean, I was just that blew me away. I was like, why doesn't everybody have one then?
Yeah.
Like,
Or
that's-
2 or 3,
Right.
call us.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're only allowed to have one, and then you go into investment financing. There's other things there, but still, it's that was very interesting to me. You're working now on a lot of training and teaching and
Yeah.
educating. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I love to coach. I coach lacrosse here in town. I run a program in Henderson, and just through coaching kids, education has always been great with sports, and now I have a wealth of knowledge of investing in real estate. And so one big issue that I'm seeing is that not a lot of agents know how to invest themselves.
Right.
And so that's the business that's the path I'm going now, of teaching other real estate professionals here in town how to buy rental properties, how to do flips, how to buy short-term rentals, long-term rentals. And it's been really cool to kind of help other agents in town kind of build their wealth, because agents, what I see, they're building their clients' wealth,
Exactly.
and they're not taking care of themselves a little bit.
It's like the baker who doesn't eat bread.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we're helping everybody else get rich, get money.
So I like to work with other real estate professionals who are doing kind of what I'm doing, investing, because that should happen.
It should.
It should happen a lot more. And I think you would get more business if you promoted it. Because a lot of, like, I get clients, they say, well, how many properties do you own? And then I tell them they feel more comfortable working with me because I'm experienced and I know what I'm doing, rather than some agents that just haven't done it before.
They're
Right.
like, well, I'm a renter, but
Right.
Yeah, that's
a whole
always been
nother-
interesting to me
Right.
too. It's like, okay, so you don't believe in the home ownership?
Yep.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that is great, and it is necessary. You know, this is what we do. It's what we do every day. Where we see the deals, we find the deals, and what we do most often is we find those deals and we pass them on to somebody else.
Correct.
And of course, that doesn't mean that we're not going to pass them on. We can't buy them all.
We can't. I hate that rule.
Well, you're
Everyone's-
going to see some really good deals coming up.
Yeah.
And so you got to be ready and have clients ready
It's
to
my
go.
favorite part of the day, going through the hot sheet. What's new? What's
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah.
Where can I get? I want that. Sign me up.
Yeah, and I've had times too where I've had someone reach out to me. They're in trouble. They need this. It's an amazing deal. Usually it's simple things like needs renovation. You know, they had some like water damage or something needs to be taken care of. But everything's fixable, right? It's all fixable, and it's something that if for whatever reason I can't do it at the time, I'll have a list of people that I'm like, okay, this is who I'm going to reach out to. We'll get this. We'll get an escrow. We'll get it all taken care of. But we come across things. We come across
We
things.
do.
Yeah.
We come across great things.
It's a just having the knowledge of what to do, and real estate's on sale right now.
It is.
really
It is on
It's
sale.
on sale.
I love
It's on-
that.
yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna
on
call
sale.
everybody today. Hey, guess what? We're having a
Yeah,
sale on real estate.
Real estate's on sale right now, and it's going to continue to go on sale in a good way, in my opinion.
I agree.
All the people that are running away from it, the people who run to it, usually do really well.
Yeah, you should always do the opposite of what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
So when you see all these buyers backing off, it's probably the perfect time.
And we'll touch on Vegas. In my opinion, Vegas and Henderson, they have the best rental market in the country.
Yes.
Yeah, because
Yeah, we're solid.
We're very solid. The taxes are really affordable, and
Which is such a great contributor.
yeah. I mean, it just makes your payment cheaper,
Right.
And then the rents are a little expensive
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
and there's a crap ton of people moving here, so that you correlate all that together, and you have some nice properties in good areas, then you'll be able to make money.
Yeah, and there's so many people here that are in the entertainment industry. This is what and I've talked to some people about this that are purchasing rental properties before, is kind of being more outside the box and renting to people that are, they're making cash daily. They're
Yeah.
not, those are the people that can't get into a traditional rental.
Right.
They can't, sometimes their credit's awful, they're whatever, but once they're in a rental, they're not going to want to lose that no matter what.
No, they're
So,
perpetual renters. They're there forever.
yeah, they can be some of your best tenants, but and Vegas has so many of those. I mean, even I can't think of the PC word for it. Like the
be
female
un-PC.
entertainers,
Yeah.
female entertainers out there. There's a lot of them
Adult
here.
entertainment.
Adult entertainment industry. There's a lot here.
There is.
And they a lot of times have really poor credit, buy everything with cash.
But they're people too, right? They need a place
And
to
they
live.
make a lot of money,
They do.
and they can be really great tenants.
I agree.
So that
Yeah.
is, those are options that people look at. There's so much opportunity here.
It is, but those I've dealt with those people too, and you can't like degrade them for what
No
they
way,
do for
I
work.
love
Of course not.
And
Yeah.
but what I've done is I take my tenants and then I turn them into clients because sometimes they want to go buy a house.
Yes, and they
eventually,
should.
And they
Yes.
should. And so I've had a nice cycle. I'll meet a tenant. They live in my house for a certain amount of time, and they say, "Jason, I want to go buy a house now." It happened to me this week, and I go help them buy a house. They
Yep.
trust me because I've dealt with them. We have a good relationship with them.
Yeah.
And I tell them, I'm like, look, rent this for a little bit, and we'll get you on your feet, and then we'll get you into your own property, and they love that.
Yeah.
And sometimes in the hospitality or adult entertainment or anything that's like on a tip base, a lot of the problem just seems to be that their taxes, they're just deducting so much from their taxes. It's not showing up as income when they go to
Right.
finance. So they just need a year or two of correcting those taxes, claiming that money, and then boom, they can get in a house and start their wealth.
And they're just uneducated. They
Yeah.
just don't know where to get started, and it's a younger town.
Yeah,
People
it
are
is.
younger, 21 years old, 24 years old. It's
Yeah.
They're not set on their feet yet.
And it is younger people, so it is if you've bought everything for cash, you're making good money in cash. You paid for everything in cash. You're not building a credit score.
Right,
You
correct.
have no need to until you're trying to get into your into your own place. So there's a lot of different avenues that are here that I think are very Vegas specific that you don't see in other towns.
I agree with
Yeah,
that.
I have to agree with that, which is cool. I
Yeah.
like that. I think it's a benefit to our town, just having diversity in what we can accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we wrap up today, we do have a home of the week. Tiana brought
We
one.
do,
So
we
tell
do.
us a little bit about this home, Tiana.
Okay, so all over, like I said, this week we've been seeing a little bit of uptick in business. I'm sure you've both felt it, and which is a little bit earlier than I thought we were going to see it. I thought we were going to see it right around February is the usual, right? And then I was talking to people, and they're like, "Oh, it's too much," and that drives me nuts because there's people who 6 months ago were purchasing and using up all of their funds, going over appraised value and coming out of pocket a ton of money. And then now, 6 months later, yeah, we have a higher interest rate, but ultimately it's turning out to be apples for apples, the way the market has shifted. So I wanted to do an example of that on this. And so what I did was I found a community out in Providence, which is, if you're not familiar with our valley, it's the Northwest. I call it mini Summerlin because everybody wants to go to Summerlin and maybe can't afford in Summerlin, can go into Providence, and it's the same thing. It's fully landscaped, master plan community. The homes go with the curvature of the land. It's not so gridded like Winchester or Paradise or anything. So we have a video of this house, and sorry, I threw it on super fast speed, but this house was sold, or is on the market right now. It's on the market for $450,000. It's at 6750, I can't even see the screen. Haymarket, and it's got granite countertops, and the cabinets go to the ceiling. It's got 3 bedrooms, a den, a loft. There's a downstairs bedroom with a full bath, which for me is important. You never know when you're going to need that space downstairs. Every home has a ceiling fan. Each bedroom has a walk-in closet. There's a 2-car garage. Like I said, it's out in Providence. And this house happens to be 2,265 square feet, right? And so a model match sold in this community 6 months ago at a 4.5% interest rate. It was for sale for $450,000. They ended up selling it for $520,000.
Wow.
That overappraised value, but they got a 4.5% interest rate, and those the payment for that was $3,028 a month, right? So flash forward 6 months, here we are, and we're at a 6.5% interest rate. And that house is listed at the same $450,000. It's probably going to go for $425,000, $435,000, right? With the interest rate, you're going to be at $3,053 for the same house that you would have got 6 months ago. So it's basically apples for apples because it's not that overappraised value.
But you keep your cash in your pocket.
Right, you
that
have
you're
your
not paying
that
value.
overappraised value of $70,000 or $50,000 or whatever. How many months of interest could you pay with that?
Absolutely.
But now you still have the ability to negotiate. And what I like about like places like Providence or even this house right here, it's kind of got like a little hidden surprise because once you go through and you see like the loft and everything, you go upstairs and it has an amazing rooftop deck that has, like I went at night because I wanted to see the strip, so I don't know if you're watching the video if you can really tell, but you have the whole view of the valley, you have full strip views, and then when you come around, you've got all of that backside of like Shadow Mountain and Lone Mountain, so you have mountain views during the day.
That's
and
amazing.
I'm like, apples for apples,
Right,
people,
that's great.
don't let the interest rate scare you.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful home, and those views are great. It's great for like entertaining. You have friends over, and you want to just hang out up top.
Right. And that's a pretty,
See the city.
that 450 is scattered out throughout the valley. If you don't want to be in the Northwest, we have 450 in Henderson. We have 450 in Southwest. We have 450 in Winchester. What do you want? We got you.
You can get a great home for $450,000, and earlier in this year, you couldn't get much for it. So there's things have changed quite substantially. Jason, how do people get a hold of you?
Instagram is my go-to.
Really?
So, yeah, my Instagram handle is at the letter J and then Griggs.
That's
at
easy.
Jay Griggs. And if you want to find me on Facebook, Jay Griggs Real Estate, and my email is down there.
Okay. Well, Jason, thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
bringing so
having me.
much,
Thank you so much.
so much
It's a pleasure.
information and wealth to this. And if people want to reach out, talk about getting those short-term rentals, getting into investing and learning about real estate and realtors. We have a lot of realtor audience out there. So realtors, you want to start educating yourself on how to build wealth for yourself instead of always doing it for everybody else. Jason has some education material for you.
Yes, I do.
Yes,
Yes, I do.
It's like, hit me up.
Yep.
Yeah, most definitely. Tiana, how do people reach you?
If you want to get a hold of me, always text me, 702-379-9948.
Okay.
And you, Trish?
702-308-2878. And I am at trishwilliamsteam.com.
She's
Thank you.
throwing in emails now. Look at
I'm
this.
throwing it. That was it.
I'm
That was a
702
website.
househunter@gmail, but I never check my email
Yeah.
unless I'm doing a business.
Yeah. So see you guys next week. We will not see you guys next week. You will be watching part 2 of our coaching corner session. It will be Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Have a great holiday, you guys.
Yes.